Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. And in this week's local news, an Oxford pistol shootout and a dog attack in Addison Township.
Stay tuned and learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. A Lakesview Drive woman discovered someone used her credit card for online items. A trace by the Oakland County Sheriff's Office showed the items were then sent to Arizona address. The woman was told to take a copy of the police report to her local bank and cancel her card.
Oakland County Sheriff deputies were called to Brewer Road in Addison Township on a report of a dog attack. When officers arrived, they were approached by a man who appeared to have multiple wounds to his head, neck, arms, and hands. The man told officers that he noticed his neighbor's dog was running loose, and when he went to tell the neighbor, the dog attacked him. That's when another dog of the neighbor's joined in on the attack. The injured man was taken to the hospital and the dogs both placed under quarantine. The event is still under investigation.
A complaint of harassment brought officers to Cobblestone Lane this week. A homeowner filed a complaint against her neighbors for pushing her to pay her share of the neighborhood road maintenance agreement. However, the woman said that previously informed the neighbors that she had fallen on hard times and did not have the money. One of the neighbors reportedly went to her place of employment to complain. The issue was discussed with the neighbors and a plan for a resolution was suggested.
You may remember from last week's news that Bruce Downey, a property owner from Oxford Township, was poised to fight against the third pipeline being constructed through his 10.5-acre property. The good news is the Texas-based company E.T. Rover Company expressed no further interest in seeking a right-of-way through his property after all. Barring all other obstacles, it looks like Bruce may be able to build that long-awaited pole barn after all.
When West Burdick Street is finally finished in July 31st, drivers will find greater enforced presence in the area, targeting truck speed and weight restrictions on the new road. Condominium residents and others have long complained about low truck traffic between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Plans would be to eliminate or restrict the truck traffic during that time period. Concern to village officials is for longevity of the new road. A study determined that one large truck axle is equal to 10,000 autos traveling the same road. By the way, there can be 6 or more axles on a large truck. The village is considering an ordinance to restrict trucks and or weight loads of more than 40,000 pounds.
The Village Council has agreed to have an appraisal of the Oxford Village Municipal Complex for the purpose of selling the 2-acre property to an interested buyer. Village voters gave approval to sell the property during the last election. The sale would result in leveling existing buildings and a construction of condos instead. A new energy-efficient village complex would have to be built to replace the current one. Thoughts are mixed with council members who discuss parking and downtown businesses currently using the property for parking lot for excess parking. More discussion is expected at the August 12th Village Council meeting.
Floyd Shapansky, a 92-year-old World War II naval veteran who was raised in Oxford, was front and center at the Oxford Christ the King Church, where they hosted a Veterans Ministry annual summer hog roast. During the war, U.S. Navy veterans spent 2.5 years in the South Pacific, taking him to such fun-filled places as Guadalcanal, New Guinea, Corregidor, and Okinawa. Floyd was stationed on a ship at the Japanese island of Okinawa when a typhoon caused equipment to short out and ammunition to explode. The explosion burned his body badly and also caused him lost eyesight. After a period in the Navy hospital, his sight returned and wounds healed. He was awarded a Purple Heart and sent home. He went to work for Dow Chemical in Midland, where he retired after 40 years and now lives in Addison Township. If you should see Floyd Shapansky, tell him how much you appreciate his service.
Well, there was some rootin' tootin' shooting going on at the first annual Lone Ranger Silver Bullet Shoot-Off held at the Bald Mountain Shooting Range this week. 15 contestants pitted their pistol shooting talents for best gunman, woman, person, real good shooter anyhow, while 16 participants entered into the novice arena. And when the smoke was settled, the winner's circle included all Oxford residents as top guns. First place was Paul Butkus, second place John Morrison, and third was Mike Ward. But everybody won because it was a fun-filled day had by all. And it was. I went there and I really enjoyed watching them. I didn't shoot, but I did have a good time watching that shootout, and I'm telling you, I was amazed at how many people showed up. But first and foremost, we need to mention Melissa Morrison, who put this whole thing together almost single-handedly. And she is a shooter. She didn't get to shoot, but it was fun. It was a fundraiser for the Oxford upcoming parade for the Lone Ranger Days. And I really had a great time.
What, they wouldn't let you bring their your sawed-off shotgun?
I don't think they'd let me have any guns there because I'm not very good at it, but there were some ladies that were pretty good, pretty impressive.
I'm sure they didn't like any stray bullets going around. But
No, we all wore helmets out there, no. But we did have a crew out there, so you'll have to catch some of that shootout at our community access.
Yeah, I did want to mention again quickly that Burdick Street was supposed to be open the 25th of July. However, there's a delay on that now. It's going to be the 31st, and it's due to an electrical situation with the DTE.
Oh my.
So that's news out there, folks.
Yeah. Well, it's a project, a huge project worth doing right and worth waiting for. It's been long coming, so just don't cheat on trying to get around. You know, just stay away from them.
Actually, that road reconstruction has gone rather quickly. You consider it was only about a month ago they started.
That was a big project, and I'm really glad to hear that the village is considering putting weight limits there. That needed to be done a long time ago, in my opinion. Those gravel trucks are heavy. I know they have a job to do. I know they have to get it done. But in my opinion, the MDOT highways are the better place for the gravel trucks, and let the entire state repair those rather than a village have that onus.
Well, you know, I think it's the vibration that the neighbors don't like either. You know, they get vibrated out of bed, you know, early in the morning. Not a good thing.
Having lived on Gillespie, I get it.
So, folks, they've heard you.
Well, that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, stop by any of your local stores and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper.
Coming up next on OCTV, Oxford Local Sports with Andy Curtis, Oxford School News with John Oetjens, and join us with Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
This is Oxford News This Week. I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Congratulations, OCTV, as the 2014 winner of the American Legion's Best Electronic Media Award, symbolizing your efforts to provide meaningful coverage of veterans issues and patriotic activities, as well as the American Legion.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Volkswagen AG, Fiat SPA, and Fiat's controlling shareholder all denied a German magazine report that the companies have discussed a possible merger. Volkswagen has approached rival Fiat about possible merger, Germany's Manager magazine reported on its website on July 17th, citing an unnamed company source. VW Chairman Ferdinand Piech, who is a member of the family that controls the German car maker, has held various talks with associates and members of the Agnelli family, who controls Fiat magazine, reported. However, A VW spokesman said the company currently had no takers on the agenda as it focuses on improving efficiency at the group. Fiat has not held any discussions with Volkswagen about a potential merger, a Fiat spokesman said in a statement. And Exor, the holding company which controls Fiat with a 30% stake, has held no merger talks with VW, an Exor spokesman told Reuters. According to the Manager magazine report, the Agnelli family would focus on Fiat's Ferrari sports car unit and withdraw almost completely from the auto business, while the Chrysler Group could help VW struggle in the U.S. The report sent Fiat shares up as much as 5.1%, and the stock's biggest intraday gain since January 2nd. VW shares fell as much as 2.4%. The German car maker is valued at 88 billion euros, while Fiat is worth 9.9 billion euros. We deem the news realistic, said Gabriele Gambavora, the analyst with Banca Akros in Milan. Volkswagen has an urge to become the #1 global automaker, and an acquisition of that size would bring them to their target immediately, says Jürgen Pieper, an analyst with Bankhaus Metzler in Frankfurt. But real interest in Fiat as a whole is rather unrealistic and would entail many problems, including Fiat struggles in Europe and potential antitrust issues in South America. We'll wait on the end of that story. And at Ford, when it comes to heavy-duty pickups, performance is the name of the game, and towing capacity is the ultimate yardstick. In new commercials appearing this fall, Ford will claim its biggest pickup, the F450, is capable of a best-in-class towing capacity of 31,200 pounds, an increase of 6,500 pounds over that of the current model. The claim one-ups Chrysler Group's Ram brand, which surprised rivals in January of 2013 with a 30,000-pound towing rating for its 3500 series heavy-duty, up from 22,750. Ford, in the new commercials, will also claim that its 6.7-liter Power-Stroke turbo diesel engine will crank out a best-in-class 440 horsepower and 860 pounds-feet of torque, up from 400 horsepower and 800 pounds-feet of torque in the 2014 models. The 2015 F450 went on sale last week. The 2015 F250 and F350 trucks have been on sale for the last couple of months. And over at Tesla in the electric arena, Tesla Motor Corporation says that its lower-priced successor to the Model S sedan and upcoming Model X crossover, expected to go on sale in 2017, will be named the Model 3. The Model 3 will start at $35,000, half the starting price of the Model S, and compete with the BMW 3 Series. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the new car will have a driving range of about 200 miles on a full charge. Musk has also said the new vehicle will be about the same size as the BMW 3 Series. The name, pronounced Model 3, was revealed July 16th in a report by British magazine Auto Express. Tesla confirmed the report on its official Twitter account. The company could unveil the Model 3 as soon as the 2015 Detroit Auto Show, the Los Angeles Times reported last year. Jack Nerad, an analyst at Kelley Blue Book, said a versatile, usable, all-electric car at $35,000 would be a hit in the marketplace, but an important key to the versatility and usability is range. If Tesla Motors can figure out the range issue and the associated charging time, charging station issue, they will strike gold, he says. And on the recall front, German automaker BMW says it's recalling about 1.6 million cars worldwide to replace passenger-side front airbags made by Takata Corporation because the inflators could break apart during deployment and injure passengers. The recall affects 3 Series vehicles produced between May of 1999 and August of 2006. The recall is an extension of last year's recall of 240,000 cars globally for the same issue. However, it overlaps with the regional recall. The airbags were supplied by Japan's Takata, which has seen more than 12 million vehicles recalled over the past 5 years for related issues. In the latest recall, about 574,000 cars were sold in the United States. Last year, BMW recalled 42,000 cars in the United States for this issue. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I'm John Oetjens, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. The big news in our school district this week is the introduction of the new website. If you tried it out and were like me, you were probably a little confused at first. We caught up with Deputy Superintendent Tim Throne, who explains the whys and wherefores.
From a big perspective, our website plays a major role in our marketing and branding of our district, and so it's very important to us. One of the things that has come up over the last year or two is that we wanted to add some additional capability, and our current hosting provider was going to raise their rates in order to provide that capability that we were looking for. And so with a part of this, we were also looking to, through what's called the E-rate program, we are looking to get reimbursed for our website hosting from the federal government. So the long story short is, one of the main reasons why our website changed was we wanted to improve the look and feel, to have it more intuitive. We wanted to add some capability. At the same time, we wanted to maintain or reduce our cost. It shouldn't take as much time to load. What I mean by that is, many of our users, maybe they don't have a fast internet connection. Our previous web pages took a long time to load because there was so much data on them. The new web pages should be much faster. So from a user experience, I'm able to click on pages and go and find information and get a much faster response.
And we're still kind of going through a formative process with this, aren't we? I mean, isn't there more stuff that's got to be loaded into the system and whatnot?
Absolutely. So our current web page we have had for the last 7 years. Think about all the information. Literally, we have thousands upon thousands of pages. We have been trying to convert all those pages. Are we going to make some mistakes? Absolutely. So at the end of the day, we want to not only keep all of our existing information out there, but add new information. But it's going to take us some time. So we had to meet our cutover dates, which was this week, and so we're out there. But even now, we have numerous hands in it on a daily basis, making updates, changes, tweaks, some mistakes that we made or things that we overlooked. So by all means, if there's something that you can't find anymore, or maybe some additional information that you'd like to see, you can contact myself. Again, my name is Tim Throne. My email is just tim.throne, that's THRONE, at oxfordschools.org.
What is your goal as far as getting everything put together and working 100% time-wise?
Definitely by the start of school.
Oxford Deputy Superintendent Tim Throne. A big subject of discussion these days is millage increases. The Oxford Library is one organization asking for more. They are running into the same problem as many organizations dependent on property tax revenue, the Headley Amendment. We caught up with Director Brian Cloutier at a board meeting the other night.
Is to bring your cost down, which we've done, by $400,000 plus steadily each year, or a combination of it, and that is to raise that millage rate, or not raise it, but restore it back to what was originally levied, the 1.85. So what the Headley override is going to do, should it be approved, will take the millage rate from 1.3982, raise it back to 1.85. It'll generate right around $310,000, $311,000 in its first year, and that is not making up the total sum of which we lost, but it's at least making ground and stabilizing our revenue so that we can plan into the future and meet the current demands of a 21st century library and what our community and our patrons expect from us.
Cloutier says the increase would take between $25 and $30 per year out of the average household budget. Coming up on Schooling Around is the final installment on International Baccalaureate. You can see that during the week at 11 a.m. and 10 p.m. and on Saturdays at 11 a.m. That's the Oxford Wildcat School update for this week. Stay tuned for Dave Kenny with Science in the News and Andy with Sports. I'm John Oetjens, and this is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
I'm Andy Curtis, and this is your Oxford Sports Update. So, as I'm sure you know, Oxford has never been short on athletic talent, and the best of the best will get some company as the Oxford Athletic Hall of Fame gets a few new members this fall. On September 5th, during the halftime show of the Oxford vs. Rochester Hills / Stony Creek varsity football game, 5 more names will be immortalized in the Hall of Fame, and a formal ceremony will follow on Saturday at the High School Performing Arts Center. The new Wildcat legends getting into the hall will include Ted Freymiller, Terry Gelski, Elijah Jones, Lisa Starr, and Danny Van Vliet. You can read more about all the inductees and find out how to get tickets to the ceremony at the school's athletic website, oxfordathletics.org. Now, the Tigers salvaged the last game of their 4-game series with Cleveland on Sunday, winning 5-1 behind the 5-inning no-hit pitching of Drew Smiley. Putting the brakes on a 4-game losing skid, the Tigers' offense woke up a little bit, giving Smiley more run support than any other pitcher in the weekend series. Austin Action Jackson started it early, scoring from second on a Kinsler single after hitting a leadoff double in the first inning. Then Cabrera hit a deep fly ball, moving Kinsler over to third, and V-Mart provided the sacrifice fly to bring Ian home. The scoring continued in the fourth with a Torrey Hunter home run, bringing in J.D. Martinez to bump the score to 4-0. And in the 8th, Nick Castellanos hit an RBI double to bring the total to 5-0. Now, this win keeps the Tigers at 5.5 games in first place, despite, sadly, the very common bullpen issues, which again happened Saturday night when Joel Nathan, who for some reason can't seem to find his groove, gave up 3 runs in the 9th for the loss. Now, these pitching problems are prompting many who follow the team to speculate that GM Dave Dombrowski will make some moves before the July 31st trade deadline, with one of the names floating around the rumor mill to be Texas Ranger closer Joakim Soria, who in 30 games and 1/3 innings has had 16 saves with a 2.76 ERA and a .78 whip. But after Dombrowski fleeced Texas in the fielder for Nathan trade in the offseason, who knows if the Rangers will be willing to make the deal. The Tigers' relief pitching is currently ranked 12th of the 15 American League teams. Now, staying with the Ilitch's properties, the family that owns most of Detroit just released the first new renderings of the Red Wings Arena and Entertainment District. This $650 million proposed development will be built around the planned M1 rail line, Comerica Park, and Ford Field along Woodward, stretching from Grand River on the west side to Brush Park on the east. To pair with the entertainment district, the family plans to create 5 new neighborhoods and spend millions to replace sidewalks, streetlights, and some are even saying partner with the security firm Omnicorp to put into place a state-of-the-art security system to patrol the area. Stay tuned for more updates on that.
This isn't making any sense.
So, today's sports vocabulary is earned run average, or ERA, which is the mean of the earned runs given by a pitcher in 9 innings of baseball or softball. Now, 9 runs being the traditional length of a game. You figure this out by dividing the amount of earned runs allowed by the number of innings pitched, and then you multiply all that by 9. Of course, runs that scored as a result of defense errors are not used to figure out the ERA.
Woohoo! This makes perfect sense.
I'm Andy Curtis, and remember you can catch all of our broadcasts of your favorite Oxford High School and now Park and Rec League games weekends between 1 and 6 right here on OCTV, or check us out online under the programs section of OCCTV.org. And as always, this is your community station, so if you have a sports idea or want to alert me to an issue that I may have said, please shoot me an email at andrewcurtis23@gmail.com and put OCTV Sports in the subject line. This was all the sports news you need to know. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
You are watching the Michigan American Legion's Station of the Year for the 5th year in a row, Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, the European Space Agency's Venus Express has survived its month-long dive into the planet's thick atmosphere and is now on the climb. It reached 130 kilometers above the surface through aerobraking, which uses friction from the atmosphere to reduce its orbit. Now it is firing its thrusters to get into a higher orbit, and will continue the study. And on the biology front, good news at last for frogs and other amphibians. We might start spraying them with dead fungus. It might sound weird, but the idea is to vaccinate them against an infectious killer fungus. Other fungal diseases could possibly be treated in the same way. Since it emerged in the 1980s, a chytrid fungus has been killing millions of amphibians globally and contributed to the decline of dozens of species. This fungus cripples the immune system and makes the amphibian's skin grow too thick to absorb water, causing dehydration and heart failure. Chytrids can be fought with fungicides, but these kill other organisms too and are only a short-term measure. A vaccine should have a lasting and specific effect on the amphibians. Jason Rohr, the University of South Florida in Tampa, and his colleagues froze the fungus to kill it, then put dead fungal cells on the skin of Cuban tree frogs. Frogs were treated with the cells 1 to 4 times. Later, Rohr infected them with a live fungus. Frogs that had more rounds of vaccination had fewer surviving fungus cells per gram on the tissue. Fungal counts went down from 40,000 to 8,000 fungal cells per gram, says Rohr. Rohr hopes to vaccinate wild amphibians by spraying the dead fungus into their habitats. He wants to try it within 2 years, probably in the isolated amphibian colonies in California, one of the worst affected areas in the U.S. If the vaccination works for amphibians, a similar approach might help fight fungal diseases in other species, such as white nose syndrome that is killing bats in the U.S. It could possibly be used as a management tool for many of these diseases, says Rohr. That's a good thing. And back in space, say hello to the next generation of space cowboys. This week, private aerospace firm Firefly Space Systems in Austin, Texas, revealed the design of the Firefly Alpha, a shiny new vehicle that aims to launch lightweight satellites at low cost. The company's mission is to reduce costs for lighter loads going into low Earth orbit, such as constellations of small satellites used for communication networks or monitoring Earth. Most probes like this currently piggyback into space on larger missions that can afford to fly on big rockets. But that means small satellite operators have a limited choice of launch dates and orbits. To improve efficiency, the Firefly Alpha will use an unusual engine design called an aerospike, which has a wedge-shaped nozzle to produce thrust rather than the traditional bell shape. Aerospike engines have been tested on a variety of vehicles, but never launched for an orbital launch. The same is true of Alpha's methane and liquid oxygen fuel system, which will reduce engine weight because it does not require an extra inert gas to pressurize the fuel. Firefly says these innovations will let them lower launch prices to around $9 million. That's similar to the cost of SpaceX's original Falcon 1 rocket, but will be able to lift twice the weight. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.